Welcome to Ask Sid, the official podcast for Sydenham Clinic, where luxury meets medicine. While we are a private members clinic, we do want to share all our learnings with the community. So we have our Sydenham experts, and we do invite external experts to share all their knowledge on health, wellness, longevity, and lifestyle. So keep tuning in and sending us questions. Welcome back. And today we are going to discuss an offbeat topic, but very, very relevant topic, which is your financial health. We have a very, very special guest, as always, but Ryan Parson is not your regular wealth management guru, as like I call him. He is somebody who is an extension of your family. He is your personal CFO. He manages very few private families, and these families actually fly into his home in Colorado, where he has this beautiful ranch. You sit there, you do a financial retreat with him, you fight, you cry, you plan your finances for the year, and he comes up with a personalized health plan. So here we have Ryan Parson. Welcome, 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 Ryan.
Thank you, Anshul, very, very much. Your energy is contagious. I love it.
Thank you. Because personally, for me, like I was telling you, I'm financially phobic, and for 2025, I really have a goal. I announced to my family like a few years ago when we were struggling for leadership within our family, Mom's the CEO of the family. And now I actually want to have the guts to say Mom's also the CFO of the family. But it's with people like you who come and step in.
Yeah.
And it's what you do is very unique, right? People have family offices, but your whole concept of a virtual family office is unique. So before we dive into financial health and unique mindsets that ultra high net individuals have towards their health and longevity, and also planning your wealth for longevity, can you please share exactly, how you go about health? Because it's very unique, it's very personal, it's very intimate.
Very, absolutely. So what you said, thinking about it with your own family and who's taken the ownership or who's taken the leadership within the family, and there's a key word to that, and it's family. And all of our families are very family oriented, and I love it. I have an acreage. I don't have a full ranch, at least not yet anyway, but I have a nice little acreage out in western Colorado to help support our families, my families that we serve. And so it's not stoic. It's not going to the office per se. Everything with the family tends to happen around the dining room table or in the living room, and so we've tried to embrace that in my practice to keep the family the number one and keep the strengths of the family, help improve the relationships within the family, help strengthen the relationships in the family, because so many times we think the money, which is very important and very necessary, is like the number one driver of our lives, and it can be a very important driver, and it can be a good scorecard. There's a lot of good things that come about it, with it, so long as the relationships are strong and the money, the wealth is supporting healthy relationships, as opposed to the people and the relationships having to support the money, if that makes sense.
That is so true and so fundamental, but we very often in our lives lose this simple perspective.
We do, and I think there's a lot of reasons for that, Anshul, that happens, and a little bit about my own family's backstory.
Please do tell our members and our viewers about your family history, and it's very relevant to today's conversation because we're talking about wealth planning for longevity.
That's what it is, and that's why I so love what you're doing here at Sydenham to help with the physical health, the mental health, the gut health, all of this that goes on with living a physically healthy life, because we all say, you know, when we're young, oh, I'm going to live strong. I'm gonna maybe outlive my parents, maybe outlive my grandparents, or in my case, outliving my great grandparents that I was so fortunate up till I was 10, 12 years old and still had my own. I still had 4 great grandparents alive. So longevity has been in my family for a very long time. And I've realized through that, and watching our family go through its ebb and flows, financially speaking, that while we've enjoyed long, healthy lives, that has not been necessarily planned for maybe as best as it could, both physically speaking and financially speaking.
You did say that 93% of Americans
Yeah.
lose their wealth by their third generation. So your grandkids don't get to enjoy your wealth.
It's a really fascinating perspective that we have here. In that, you know, we're in a wealthy country, we're in a benevolent country, we're in a giving, you know, all of those things. We're, you know, relative somewhat from a health standpoint healthy, but we're spending society might be a way to say this.
Yes.
And it's very hard for any level of wealth to sustain past the third generation. It's just, you know, there's myriad of reasons for it.
Right.
But the reality of it is it's hard to sustain that. And maybe if you go back a century, 150 years, the third generation wasn't as much of a thing, or maybe that was, oh, you'd be lucky to get to a third generation that were all alive at the same time. And in reality today, because of technology, because of healthcare, and specifically because of what Sydenham does to really elevate the quality and the access of healthcare, getting to the 4th and the 5th generation like my family, which has now happened twice in my lifetime. We've had 2 times where we've had 5 generations alive all at the same time. So you put that reality, which is lovely for family relationships, but can equally cause this tension financially speaking. And you start to have situations where the money starts driving the relationships, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And it's like, well, wait a minute, this is mine, or wait, why didn't I get that? And some of those things that we as families just kind of go through. Realizing, is it about the money or is it about the relationships? And having kind of been through just my own family of there is money, there isn't money some days, and watching that go from generation to generation.
And it is, you know, it is preventable. You can prevent it if you have these conversations early on and you have somebody professional facilitating it. Possibly what you're doing is taking the emotion out of it as much as possible.
Or, you know what it is, and all of that said is why I felt this need to create something different. And, you know, I have an idea what is a personal CFO, what is the virtual family office as kind of a offshoot of the single family office construct that families will engage with, or multifamily office construct, because each family is very unique, and each individual human being that makes up the greater family is unique.
Yeah.
And when you have multiple generations involved, you know, vantage points from this generation to this generation to the next generation, they may be misunderstood, or they may just not be, you know, there's dynamics, maybe is what it is. And
so you take on the role of a financial therapist.
Yeah.
Sometimes
it might
But tell
feel
us
that
more
way.
about the implementation. You said like you make personalized individual plans, right? It's precision. Similarly in health, like we don't have one size fits all in Sydenham, right? We are your family doctor. We are that same relationship. We're restoring that doctor-patient relationship, and you play that role. And you also help with implementation, like how you're the quarterback for their family office. Can you explain how that works? Because it's a unique way to think about managing your wealth.
It is, and I'm a firm believer that no one cares more about your wealth than you do. And I think that's probably safe to say no one cares more about your health than you do. And with the society we live in, with social media this and soundbite that, and just live by that way. Oh, I got to go here, I got to go there. It's kind of like the shiny object syndrome.
Yes.
Sometimes. Oh, we got to go this, we got to go do
Or
that.
keeping up with the Joneses.
There's just all of these, the noise or the chaos around us that cause us to make some of these decisions. And it certainly has happened to my own family. It's happened to me. That sometimes you just need the soundboard there that has no conflict of any interest other than what is in your best interest. So as a human being, we're thinking of things, we're bombarded by all these things we got to think about. Again, whatever it is, could be financially speaking, it could be health speaking, it could be relationship speaking. It's there's just all kinds of things that go on that cause you to go, I need to talk to somebody about this, because trying to text into mystery customer service agent 496 just isn't going to get the job done.
No.
And, as our family lives are more complex, Anshul, our financials get more complex, just the volume of things going on. Families own businesses, they buy businesses, they sell businesses, they invest in this, they divest of this, they are dealing with this tax advisor over here, and life is going on. Their spouses are going on, their kids, their grandkids are all going on. It just gets to be a little complex of a world that we're living in, and then the family itself is a world. And if you, your wealth, if you see yourself as the CEO of your wealth, like any business, the CEO's got a team around. And that's part of what I just realized with my own family and the families that I serve. They're really good at what they do. They have a vision, for their business, for their family. They're trying to do something that's bigger than them. They're trying to reach out for something that's bigger than them, whatever that may be.
Create impact.
And make an impact.
And you also mentioned that now you take a unique perspective and you ask them their longevity goal and you work backwards. So you had a client who wanted to live to 109. And tell us how you plan for that.
So all of that said is why you just sometimes need a sounding board. You kind of need like a number two that maybe not is your spouse or is not your kids, to just try to help you think through day-to-day decisions. And and that's why I love doing what I do today, because it's these goals to say I want to live till I'm 109, or any of these life goals. Society might say to you, are you crazy? You can't do that. Or just in any aspirational goal from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I just want to go make a difference. These are the families that I serve.
Yes,
and so,
I hear you. Like, this is music to my ears.
It's such a big deal. So anything my family's, they're dealing with the day-to-day messiness of life, we're right there with them. And so when a family says to me, such as what has happened recently, you know what, Ryan, we can make it till 110, 115. We want to live a healthy, vibrant life. And yes, I might be their personal CFO. And yes, that's going to require, numbers and analytics and, how does the wealth support them? Now, oh my gosh, what do I have to do, so to speak, to make the money work? It's tell me more about what is it about that is driving you to want to do that. This is the humanity of wealth, Anshul.
Yes.
So we don't start with oh, you can't do that, or no, that's never going to work. Are you crazy? You're going to have not a healthy quality of life.
Or like a textbook formula, a cookie cutter,
It's not that, because we as humans are not that way. And there's not one family that's that way. So if I've got a matriarch and patriarch saying, we want to do this, we want to go do this. And in large part, they're doing things for their kids. They're doing things for their grandkids. They're doing things for their charities of choice. They're doing things for their community.
Yeah.
It's about their legacy that is beyond them.
Yeah.
They've been very fortunate. And so, but to live that long, to say, I want to do that, what would have been my great-grandfather, I showed you on the picture at your event here at the clinic last night, he was 102, and this was back in the 70s. So think about when someone says to me, Anjo, I want to live till I'm 109 or 110, I'm thinking, well, of course you would.
Of course.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yes.
It's easy for me to say that because
You've seen it.
I've seen it.
You've experienced it.
Yeah, I've watched my family history of that. And so whatever somebody wants to do that's for the good, Anshul, I'm right there. I want to be right there to go, how do we make that happen?
So what kind of calls do you get? Like, what do you do for your family?
Oh my gosh.
Implementation, like give us a sense.
It all starts off with, what do you want? What do you want to do? What are the values? What are your goals? Are you trying to do this by yourself? Is it you and your spouse have some of these common goals? 'Cause sometimes spouses have different goals. They're trying to accomplish different things, and it's perfectly fine. How involved are your kids? How involved are your businesses with you? What is driving you? What is this greater good? Because sometimes when we are being honest with ourselves, we look inside and go, I know I can do this. I want to do this. Maybe it's God calling me to do this. Maybe they see this need in my community calling me to do this. And then we kind of maybe go out to our families, and then all the drama of our families, and we get pulled back away. Or society tells us, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. And we retreat because we've been hurt. Before, when we've tried to step out there, do something different. And until we get into the silence of ourselves and have that trusted partner to go, what do you want? There's no barricades in this conversation. There's nothing that's going to say no to you.
And then you put that into an executable plan.
Yeah,
because you did talk about implementation with precision.
Yeah, that's right. And so I love to, next time you're up in Western Colorado, you'll see my whiteboards. All my families know I love to whiteboard and love to mind map and just start literally putting it all out there. Not texting it, not emailing it, not sitting here
I
like
can
writing.
absolutely imagine my family sitting on that couch with you very soon. Like I'm very tempted.
Yeah, and it's you let the juices flow and the creativity flow, because what happens, especially when there's multiple family members involved, all of a sudden they find more of their commonality together than their differences.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and
I cannot imagine this happening in an investment banking
no,
office.
it doesn't.
Like going into like
No.
JP Morgan Chase or whoever, Goldman Sachs, and like sitting in that, like you said, very stoic, masculine environment. I think it's very hard to achieve your wealth plan. So what does the actual plan look like, and how do you execute it?
Once you've got that visual of what does it start to look like, when you have that and you can see that, and there's goodness around that, it starts to become truly the family plan. That is our plan. We do want to have a family retreat center over here, or we want to start a family foundation to help this part of our community or that part of community. And it starts to shape itself within the goodness of the family. And when you start to have those visuals, putting the numbers then, the financials around it, is actually becomes more part of the easy part, actually.
For you, because you're numerically minded. Like for me, I have like I have a life book. I have a printed life vision. Yeah. I wish I had a spreadsheet that went with everything I've dreamt of. Like I have a charity plan in mind.
Yeah.
I wish I had a spreadsheet that went with it, and I had somebody like you holding me accountable.
Yeah. Well,
that we had said we're going to put this much money aside. Did you do it? Or you were going to raise so much money?
Yeah, and that's what it becomes, because whatever that is, and putting the structures in place, and you brought up CPAs and the attorneys and just all the other true financial experts that are out there, that love to connect in with the family, to serve the family. And that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, is coordinating all the other experts to come into play that make the family plan come alive, and help to coordinate.
And everything that's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
Like, how is it? Like, tell us the kind of phone calls you get, or how involved you are. You meet them almost every 6 weeks or so?
We do. We meet with our families multiple times throughout the quarter because you brought up a good word about the accountability. You know, the family wants to go do this, and we start working on that, and then they're back in their lives and the messiness of the lives and the chaos of our worlds that we live in. And so we're, constantly kind of wrangling back in. Our families are all over the country, so, we're on a lot of video meetings and in that. And, when I get to come down to be with you and get to travel, sometimes I get to see some of our other families in their spots. But so it's constant dialogue, Anshul, and I kind of emphasize that word dialogue. It's not a text. It's not sitting here. It's not dictating into something and going into AI that then sends to another family member. It's real human being conversations. And, we've been doing video meetings for 10, 15 years now before video was kind of a thing, because my families were all over the country. So, I never thought of it as an early adopter of any of that. But what I've realized in the world that we're looking in, these eyeball to eyeball, face to face, very real conversations can be absent in a lot of families. And so
loneliness is an epidemic.
It's a thing.
It's an epidemic.
It's a thing. And so, in professionally speaking, what we're doing of having, a lot of meetings with our families every quarter to help with the accountability, but it's whatever our families want and it's whatever they need. None of my family's conversations are the same, but we're trying to demonstrate for them, this is what you might want to be doing. This is how you want to be talking about this or suggesting this, because human beings, we don't live in a bubble.
No, we don't.
And so, you've asked, what are some of the calls that I get? They can be a wide range of calls on a wide range of topics. From Ryan, we're thinking about traveling here or traveling there, to Ryan, we're thinking about starting the next business, to Ryan, something really cool just happened with my grandson or my daughter today, and they said something, that they were at one of our events together as the family, and they said something that came up in the family retreat, and just talking about the goodness. So from the ugliness and the messiness to Ryan, somebody just passed away, to Ryan, it's, I get a call at 12:30 in the morning, somebody's in the hospital, to Ryan, look at what just got created. It's all over the board, but it's the humanity first and the money second is what all of the calls tend to be about.
Now, specifically about health choices and healthcare planning. I think you and your clients think very differently about making those healthcare choices, right? And while we're recording this podcast, it's actually open enrollment, and people are going around shopping for their insurances. So if we can narrow down and really give people tips and tools, and because it's a unique mindset. It's like people think they have to follow the system, which is laid out, and okay, you turn 65, you take Medicare, or okay, your employer gave you this insurance, or if you're self-employed, most of your families are self-employed, so they have their group plan. So if you can give us...
Sure. The healthcare industry here in the U.S., and this is way more your area of expertise than mine, but shall we say access and quality of care is at issue here.
Well, that's why Sydenham was created. It's all about the access,
yes.
the coordination. Yes, you got it.
It is, and I've realized, and I've even fallen guilty of this, that you just take what you're given your health insurance, just kind of renews, and you can only do this and all these and that and the other things. And the reality of it is, you can still very much shop for health insurance. There's the marketplaces, there's the private carriers, but, due to a lot of outside influences, there's a lot of desire to kind of try to push us, cattle car us into certain things that maybe not be in our best interest, but there's, other issues going on. And so we've really tried to take an approach with our families, first of all, back to the family plan, but What does healthcare mean to you? What does quality of care mean to you? What does access mean? And start to map that out a little bit. My families are, travel all over the globe at any one moment in time, and to think about what if something happens and you're in India, you're traveling in India, you're on a pilgrimage somewhere. It doesn't matter where, you're just anywhere and something happens. What is that going to look like? What would you want it to be? Because it's not like you're at home. I'm sitting in Western Colorado, and you can just go into your little local doctor. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
What does it need to look like? And we've started to realize, I think, our families, that the quality of care needs to be thought more about than what it ever has been before, because we now may have multiple generations needing higher levels of care, and we're not just going to accept what the system is going to give us. We need to have a family plan about what care looks like in our family, because we care about the human beings.
Right.
We want everyone to be happy and healthy. So starting to integrate that into the financial forecasting is really, really critical. And it starts in some of this, you said, the basic of in open enrollment. We all go through it this time every year.
You tend to encourage your families to take a high deductible, for example.
Well, yeah, that would be one of them. Because generally speaking, if you're high net worth, you can afford a high deductible, just dollars and cents wise. Because that opens you up for things like health savings accounts that you can take advantage of. You can redirect whatever the budget is in the family for health care. You can be more precise with those resources that you're going to allow for, and not just accept the insurance plan and I got to go to this doctor, because it becomes a greater integration, especially when you start thinking about access and quality of care and care coordination, like what you do here at Cigna.
Exactly, and that's why most of our members, they have a really great HSA account set up. They can use that for concierge medicine. People say, why should I be paying a high fee for concierge medicine? But when you combine that with a high deductible, it makes absolute financial sense. And tax efficiency too. I mean, that's, you had some unique perspectives on HSA and tax. Can you, before we wrap this podcast up, can you give them like some really tangible tips?
Sure. The first thing, it's always the classic disclaimer: we're not giving tax advice and legal and investment advice and such. We're just having a conversation. But it's really, really critical to have a really good relationship with your tax advisor to talk about these things. When does a health savings account make sense? How do we structure that? A lot of other things that, especially high net worth families, not sure that they could even shop for their health insurance. They just take what's given, and if depending on where you live, you may have dozens of options at your disposal. And the question is, who's helping to coordinate all of that? Because you can go do these things yourself, but the point is you need to take control of it, or have the right people around you that are really looking at what are our health insurance options. Why should we have a health savings account? You mean we could have had one? We qualified for because we have the right type of plan, but just weren't doing it. And oh, by the way, the health savings accounts, you can self-direct these and do really cool things for some of your greater life aspirations.
And it's not limited to that 8,000, right? You can put in more money.
Well, yeah, there's the IRS puts certain limits on if you're single or you're married, the family plans, all these different things. So there's statutory limits that can be in there, but
you don't have to use it.
You don't have to necessarily use a health savings account all up. It's not a use it or lose it. You can keep growing and keep growing for future healthcare needs. It's a beautiful way as part of the planning process to look at that.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Well, if people want to know more, I'm sure we will leave your contact details, and we work closely with you because I think the way health and wealth are related is even more prominent in today's day of biohacking, precision medicine, because everything that we do at Cigna is so unique and ahead of its curve. It's not anyway covered by insurance, right? So it is for those people who have resources and the right mindset.
Yes.
So thank you so much for this
welcome.
very impactful conversation.
You're
You know,
welcome.
people usually are not comfortable talking about wealth, and uh, it is important because some, even in our case, you know, there's some people who don't want to sign up as members because they don't want to know everything about their health. They don't want that full body MRI. They don't want to do that liquid biopsy and would screen out 50 types of cancers. So same with you, like, you know, you do that stress test,
Yes.
that financial stress test for people when they come up. But before we sign off, we always ask our guests this question, that you are living a conscious life, you're living your best life. So what is your secret sutra?
Oh my goodness, Anshul, you ask these deep, profound questions.
Go for it.
Well, I will have to say I am. My belief in God is very profound for me, and knowing that I'm here to serve Him, and that it's not about me. And being able to help empower other people's lives is why I feel like I'm here. And so keeping my family's on the whole end of the spectrum. I'm just here to serve, and I love doing it with every breath I take. And God willing, continue to be very strong and healthy, and be able to keep doing it.
Yeah, thank you so much. But I know that you do a lot more. You eat healthy, you exercise, you're mindful, you're intentional about your day, your interaction, your relationships. And I think you bring that to your families. Thank you so much, Ryan.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
This was great. Thank you.
Yes. And until next time, remember, health is by choice, not by chance. See you soon.